Anaheim is one of the unique cities in the state of California that is reinvesting millions of dollars in our community right now and not looking for ways to stay out of bankruptcy protection. And we're able to do that because of a nexus between the strength of our economy, the investment of our business partners, and because of the professionalism of how our city is managed. And so I just want to thank you for that. I also want to ask some specific questions, because one of the reasons that I came forward on this and asked for us, and I really believe it's important that we start doing this annually, an annual update, because this is a great summarization for residents. Residents want to know where city services are being allocated, where their tax dollars are being spent, and making sure that it reflects their own values. And this report does this beautifully. But there are sources out there that are putting out some information that is contradicted by the report the city's just provided. In particular, OCCORD, which has weighed in heavily on a number of policy matters before the city over the last couple of years, has put out a report that actually looks dramatically different than what our staff's just provided. And I would like an opportunity to ask you a couple of questions. One, their report is saying that we only spend $170, well, we spend $170 per person on community resources for residents of Anaheim Hills, but only $156 per resident of Anaheim Flatlands. Why is there such a disparity between the numbers that your staff has spent the professional time to develop and this report that OCCORD has put out to the media and to our residents?
The cost allocation that we had used, so when we initially allocated this cost between neighborhoods, we used our districts. The number I believe you're referring to that OCCORD had used didn't have these same geographic boundaries. So they used some estimated census data by zip code, which didn't include anything for 92806, which is that area that's right between, well, the east and the central areas, but a significant portion is still in the east. We used population data from the 2010 census that's specifically mapped by census tract so that we could closely follow those boundaries of our neighborhood council districts, so that that was a representation that fairly matched the cost estimates that we had prepared on those same geographic boundaries.
Okay, that's helpful, because that's certainly a much more accurate academic standard to use when developing a report that defines allocation of city services. Additionally, it talks about there being extensively more parks and libraries in the eastern portion of our city versus all other areas of the city. Isn't it true that, doesn't your report reflect that a number of the acreage that's in the east is state park lands and not groomed, manufactured, lighted community and city parks?
In our analysis, yes, we looked at all the parks, and for the 3 nature centers that we have, those are significant acreage that are maintained by that don't require our maintenance. So we have excluded those from the cost estimates, because that would unfairly show the cost being much higher when there in fact is no real cost to maintain that wildland area.
Okay. And then for libraries, we certainly saw that the allocation is equitable and across all cities, and not as being reflected in some of the reporting we've seen from this organization as well.
No, I mean, certain areas have libraries, but definitely the costs seem to spread evenly throughout the city.
For all library services?
Yes, correct.
Okay. I would appreciate if staff could please communicate this report broadly and robustly to our residents as well as the general public, and that it be available in English and in Spanish for all of our residents. I thank you for using current data. I thank you for including all zip codes and census tracts in the city, and I thank you for not just looking at a select number of categories, but the broad scope and breadth of city services that we provide as a city. Allegations that have been made that residents without single-member districts don't get a voice in city representation or see fair allocation of city services is just false based on the report that's been provided tonight. And I thank you for the thoroughness of this report.